Hi, I'm Warren Miles Pickup, CMO and COO of Pixel True, Pixel Copy, and Pixel Publishing. Incredibly grateful to be here on the Online Prosperity Show. You're going to learn a little bit about me, my family, my three daughters, and how I've succeeded in both finance and a more creative industry in graphic design. I'm going to talk a lot about heuristics, cognitive biases, and what we do to make decisions. Hopefully, it'll be helpful for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got a guest whose journey is as dynamic as it is inspiring. Now, Warren, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. I'm actually really excited. I mean, because you did tell me earlier on you're one of 8, right, in your whole clan.
Yeah, and the Miles Pickup family. There's myself, my wife, my 3 girls, my parents, and my sister. That's it. Those are the only Miles Pickups in the world. So we can't hide. It's not like I can blame it on another Warren Miles Pickup somewhere else on the planet if I do something wrong.
Fantastic. I can only imagine. You see, Google would have been very favorable to you because, there's no one else that's got a name like yours. So you literally have to write your own category, don't you?
Yeah. From an SEO perspective, it's fantastic because you don't see a whole lot of other people competing for that keyword.
Absolutely. Now, for those that are wondering why we are already bromancing, don't you worry. Me and Warren are going to, present to you a dynamic show where we are going to be talking about Warren's journey from financial advising to the creative realms of design and publishing. Now, Warren started off, in the finance industry, and obviously that didn't sit well with him, and he's going to be telling us about that journey. Now he's serving as the chief marketing officer and chief operating officer for Pixel True, Pixel Copy, and Pixel Publishing, and he's masterfully blended creativity with strategy to help businesses thrive in the digital age. And obviously Miles' story doesn't stop at corporate success. Outside the boardroom, he's actually a hands-on dad to 3 amazing daughters, and we were just bonding, over how, I'm also a father of 2 girls, and how he's been managing that, and also how he finds balance in life through his passion for fishing, and also the things that he's been doing for his clients and the books that he has written. Now, Warren, I could go on, and you've already warned me to not spoil your reputation since there's not that many Miles Pickup people out there. Tell us a little bit about, how you started your career in finance and what inspired you to then shift to the digital space.
Sure. So I spent about 15 years in finance and sold a little over $2 billion worth of product. And it was working in an industry that is so heavily regulated, monitored, and is very tightly controlled, but also has massive budgets, huge amounts of spending, and a lot of research on consumers, was a huge benefit to me in helping me to understand how you can influence people, how you can motivate people, how you can drive them towards decisions by utilizing human psychology and the way in which we sell. And so I wound up spending those 15 years growing sales territories and working with advisors to teach them how to do financial planning and how to market themselves, how to run their businesses. And eventually it got to the point where I was traveling so much. I was spending 120 to 130 nights a year in hotel rooms with 3 young daughters. It got to the point where it was choose a new job or choose a new wife. And I made the better decision of those and chose a new job. And I had always wanted to be more entrepreneurial and to build something of my own. And so my business partner at the time, the gentleman who's my business partner now, was a friend of mine at the time. We'd known each other since university. We were fraternity brothers in university, and then we started a podcast during COVID about being parents because I was going through some challenges with my kids. And he came to me and said, "Hey, I've got this opportunity by a design agency. It just happened to pop up. My dad happened to be in finance. My mom was in design and printing, and so I made the jump. Decided to move from finance to entrepreneurship, and we've just been building it ever since, and growing new agencies, whether it be copywriting or publishing, marketing, investing in startups and other businesses, and it's been a wild ride for the past 4 years.
Absolutely, and congratulations. I mean,
Thank you.
obviously it's not an easy thing to
No.
start a company, especially during the pandemic, and to
Yeah.
now establish it to where it's at right now. So you did mention in the 15 years that you were obviously working within the financial sort of sector. What were the highlights that you probably say these were the good old days in my
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the highlights obviously are having huge sales days and massive sales years. When you're selling $300 million of product in a year, that's a huge highlight. And I happened to win some awards because of those sorts of things, whether it was top wholesaler in Canada, up and coming advisor, top of the table for $1 million round table, or sorry, court of the table for $1 million round table. A number of different awards and recognition. But honestly, I think the most rewarding thing during that entire time was being able to get up on stage and speak publicly. I absolutely adore doing public speaking and seeing the impact that you can make with a crowd when you're talking about a pertinent topic. And it didn't matter to me whether it was talking on economic policies and breaking down why a particular security or company was going to do well, or whether it was on financial planning topics or on business building topics. I just enjoy getting in front of a crowd and watching them grow and learn from what I'm talking about, and getting to display the passion that I have for a wide range of different topics. That was by far the most rewarding part of those 15 years.
Absolutely. And had you continued, what sort of environments would you have been in right now, or what were the sort of aspirations at the time that you wanted to achieve in the financial side of things?
I mean, I had all kinds of goals in terms of whether it be sales goals or different types of awards and certifications and all those sorts of things. And what I learned over those 15 years is that they weren't as important to me as spending time with my family. And so it became more aspirational to get to be at home every day than it was to do another trip to Los Angeles or another trip to New York or another trip to Harvard or anything like that. I'd much rather be home every day and be here today we have a snow day here where I am. And, middle of the day, I was able to go and pick up my girls from school when the bus system got shut down. And so being there for those types of situations became much more important for me.
Oh, I can imagine. But so many people, especially when they're in a career that they are, really being successful in, they would want to keep going more and more
Yeah.
and more, but that stopped appealing to you. I mean, all those
Well,
hotels.
I still want to accomplish a lot of those things. Like, I would really like to do it. I just want to do it in a different way. I would like to be able to have my cake and eat it too. right? I would like to still have those accomplishments and that growth, which we've been able to do with Pixel True, but I'd like to be home and own my time. You know, when in those corporate roles, you're very much beholden to somebody else's schedule, beholden to somebody else's rules and expectations. And now, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, I get to control all of that, and I get to determine what priorities are and how I'm going to be spending my time, who I'm going to be bringing on board, the types of people that I'm going to surround myself with, and I get to own all of that. And that was really what was important to me.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that you mentioned that caught my attention was, the financial world has so many studies, has so much laid out, and there's also, what they call, what's that? The ladder for you to climb to those places. There's a lot
Yeah.
of work for you to actually get approved, and there's a lot of red tape and things of that
Yes.
nature. What was that transition like, coming from such a rigid environment to a place where you could just, tape a banana on a wall and, oh my God, it gets
Mm-hmm.
viral?
Yeah. You know how racehorses, when they're running down a track, they have blinders on, right? That's what it felt like. So I was essentially, a racehorse on the financial track, running and only seeing what was right in front of me. And then the second I left that environment, there was an entire world for me to see, and to be able to utilize the skill set that I had developed working in this, very saturated and concentrated marketplace, and then take it out to a world of all these different businesses. And our organization works from everything from brand new startups to, very, very large companies like KPMG. And so we're able to take what I was doing from a sales perspective, utilizing heuristics and cognitive biases and human psychology, and essentially the science of how people make decisions, and implement that across businesses that have never had an opportunity to learn about these sorts of things, that have never had to deal with such a saturated marketplace where the competition is so tight, where you're literally competing over basis points of return, and you're having to come up with ways to differentiate yourself. Whereas, now without these blinders, there is an infinite number of ways to differentiate yourself and to truly address the concerns and the pain points of your clients that you can drill down into, that you couldn't really do in that industry because, either the regulators said you weren't allowed to talk about that, or it just wasn't a differentiating factor versus all of your competitors. And now it's just the gates are wide open to be able to utilize all of those skill sets that I had developed in an incredibly concentrated marketplace.
Absolutely. But what were some of the sort of initial hurdles that you would have faced? Because that wouldn't have been easy. I know a lot of people that come, it's like learning a whole new
Yeah.
language, you know? Have you ever seen when a horse, they take off the blinkers, it starts running like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was air around me. You know what
Yes.
I mean? What was it like for you?
Yeah, there's a lot of distraction, and it certainly took some time to get back onto a track and setting up routines and setting up schedule blocking and all those sorts of things in order to really grasp control of my time and not allow it to slip away, by doing things that weren't essential. So it's a matter of constantly going back and understanding what are those revenue driving activities that are central to what I need to be doing on a daily basis, and then what can be taken off of my plate. So on a regular basis, I'm reviewing with my team what are the different things that I've taken on that really shouldn't be my activities, that I need to delegate them so that I can focus on those largest revenue generating activities. And so we review that regularly to ensure that my time isn't being spent inefficiently.
Absolutely. I quite like that, because you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands full. I mean, if you've got all the
Yeah.
things that you have, but then you transition from obviously being a part of a team, especially in the
Mm-hmm.
sales front, and being sort of like in the employee type setup, to now you sitting at the helm of
Yeah.
running a company. Was that an easy transition, or you just used your financial background to just put yourself in that position and make it easy for you to calculate what was needed of you?
I think for for myself, because I always treated myself as though I were an owner of my division within the organization I was with. I've always tried to have that owner's mindset. It wasn't that big of a transition to being kind of an entrepreneur. I think if you maintained a role where you were strictly an employee and everything was dictated to you, it would be a more challenging transition. And I would advocate that if there is anybody that is looking to become an entrepreneur or open their own business, that they really take the time and the thought process in their current position to establish that owner's mindset so that they can understand all of the risks and opportunities that are taking place with where they're working right now, and train themselves to look for that before they start entrepreneurship, so that when they become an entrepreneur, they're not blindsided by, oh geez, I didn't think about business licensing, I didn't think about liabilities for my business, and in whether it's physical, legal, intellectual, or whatever it may be. You want to try to own everything within the realm of business that you're doing, so that when you leave, it's not a surprise.
Mm. I quite like that. But what you're presenting now is a curious blend of the right brain and the left brain. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people, like you said, are blinkered to one particular dimension of their brain, because you've now blended creativity with strategy, and it feels like it's now your
Yeah.
true calling. Did you make that realization before, or is it something that just comes naturally to you?
Um, I don't know if I've ever thought about it the way that you just put it before, and I really like it, so I'm going to steal that. But yeah, I guess I've always been somebody to kind of combine creativity with strategy, and a big part of selling is being creative, is being curious, because you are trying to understand the individual that you're sitting across from and asking them pertinent questions to get information, and then you have to very rapidly come up with a solution, a pitch, a way to present your product or service when you are selling, when you're coming to understand somebody's problems. Not everything can be pre-scripted, so you have to be able to think on your feet. So there's an aspect of strategy and sales, while there's also an aspect of creativity and being able to come up with things on the spot and be able to identify and rectify problems as you encounter them.
So Warren, you left a very successful career in finance, and obviously just didn't want to spend yet another day in a hotel room with the girls and everything else. Did you find what you were looking for?
I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. It's a perpetual search. I don't know if I will ever be satisfied. One of the things that I grew up believing was that we should always be striving for our ideals, and that those ideals should always be out of reach. And that drives me to constantly be looking to improve, to advance, to grow. So I would say no matter what, I'm always going to be pushing to achieve more, to do more, to help more people, to be of more value. That's always going to be my goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, for those that are watching, we've already introduced the three girls, and they became the reason why you had to, choose between work or the life that you want. But balancing professional responsibility in a whole new industry and a whole new field with then those personal passions, that you absolutely wanted to make sure you go ahead. And also you've taken up fishing, which is also something that maybe takes up part of your pastime. All of that can be challenging to any normal human being. How do all these personal interests then contribute to your effectiveness as a leader?
I think whether it's being a parent or whether it's being a leader, other people seeing you passionate over a subject is incredibly important. I think it's what leads them to finding passion in their lives. And so if you can show your passion to your colleagues, to your team, your employees, they're going to find it within their personal situations and their employment situations as well. Just as, I was incredibly passionate in my finance career, but my kids and my wife never got to see it because I was always gone. And so I was passionate, but I wasn't passionate at home. By the time I got home, I was exhausted. Now they see me being passionate here. They get to witness my passion. They get to be around it, and I'm hoping that that will be inspirational for them, so that as they grow up, they find all of the things that they're passionate about as well, whether it's work, whether it's hobbies, whether it's their relationships, school, anything like that. I desperately want them to find what it is that is going to inspire that passion so that they can chase it. And I think being a good team leader is a combination of being curious and being passionate.
Absolutely. I quite like that because I see that with my girls as well. One of them is now learning how to use Canva, and
Mm-hmm.
also you do some sort of design stuff in Roblox and all the other games
Yeah.
because they've seen it being done here. I mean, growing up, my dad was a police officer, and
Okay.
all we just heard was stories of when he went out and chased some robbers, and we never really saw any of that,
Mm-hmm.
being translated back home. So I think, yeah, that's actually a gift that you're giving to the girls and showcasing to them that they too can be do and have a happier existence. Now, let's have a look at the work that you're doing that is inspiring these girls to, do more. You're helping businesses enhance their digital presence. What sort of
Yeah.
unique solutions is Pixel True and some of the sister companies that presiding over offer that your clients are coming back for?
Yeah, it's really about, and I mentioned it before, is the utilization of things like heuristics. So heuristics are shortcuts that we create in our brain to simplify the decision making process. So consider this: if you had to make a decision, about where you wanted to go to eat for dinner tonight, okay, um, and you have these essentially an infinite number of data points to consider, right? Whether it's the types of food that you like, how far of a distance it is, how much it costs, all of these different data points that you're having to consider. If you had to go through every single one and weight them and consider them, it would take forever to make any singular decision, right? So what we do in our brain is we create heuristics, which are essentially shortcuts, which are a series of biases in our brain that allow us to shorten the decision-making process. So that heuristic could be something like the single option bias. So if I said to you, "Would you like here we just had a Popeye's chicken open up as an example. If I said to you, "Would you like Popeye's chicken?" You're more likely to say no than yes because you're only being given a single option. It's called the single option bias. Your bias is to say no because you were only given one choice to choose from, and you'd rather preserve your ability to make a decision than make that decision right there. Whereas if I give you 2 to 3 decision options to choose from, you're significantly more likely to choose one of those options than you are to say no, because you feel as though you've been given a series of choices. Another heuristic would be something like the anchoring bias. So whatever we see at the beginning of something, so we read in an F pattern, right? So as an example for pricing, so if I have 3 pricing options, if I price things based on lowest price, mid price, high price on a page from left to right, right? And I read that lowest price, I'm going to use that data as an anchor point to determine the value of the next points of data that I see. So if I see low price first and then higher price and highest price, both of those prices are going to look expensive to me. Whereas if I go highest price, mid price, low price, they're going to look cheaper because the anchoring bias in my brain says that the first data point I saw is the anchor and how I'm going to measure everything else. So what we're trying to do in utilizing these heuristics is we're trying to shorten the sales cycle and expedite the decision-making process for customers or leads. Okay, whether it be single option or anchoring or social proof or any number of different heuristics, we're utilizing these in digital marketing in order to assist people with their decision making process so that they can make it faster and they're more likely to take action on whether it be a website, social media graphics, landing pages, webinars, any of those sorts of things. And it's all about building that using a value-based marketing system. So how do we give somebody a higher ROI than what it costs them them to purchase the good or service, right? The idea being that if we're constantly giving them a positive ROI, they're going to come back and trying to get higher and higher returns from their investment with us. So if we're constantly giving them a 3 times ROI, they're going to come back and say, okay, if I spend more, am I going to continue to get that higher ROI? And it just winds up driving them from, low cost product into your highest value product because they've naturally built that trust and that expectation of higher and higher ROI as they go through your services.
Absolutely, I quite like that. And obviously, some of that would have come from all the, like you said, the finance industry has heavy studies and things of that nature. Now, it
Yeah.
actually makes sense because I went on your guys' website and I noticed the price that's right at the start is the most expensive one. And then it makes it easier and palatable because you really want people to go for the hero package, not
Yeah.
necessarily. So when you anchor the price, everything else just starts to look cheaper. Now, I think that's a complete reframe to the way most people, especially creatives, are
Yeah.
approaching the market, because as creatives, we usually just want to offer a very cheap price, just in case people say no, and there's no science, behind that. What have you found to be the most rewarding about the work that you're doing? Because if you're making such transformations in people's businesses, that must be actually giving people some really good results.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. We were working with a florist out of Vegas as an example, and by changing their floral website, and they're restricted in what they can do because they use a platform called My which is kind of a back end CMS platform for like 15,000 florists in North America, and so we made some changes just based on heuristics, and we were able to increase their online conversion rate by 300%. So it was a massive spike in the amount of sales that they were getting. Their average cart value went way up because we added some features around, social proof and what other products people like them have also bought, that sort of stuff. And it was just a massive boost in not just their conversions, but the amount of time that people spent on the page, their average cart value, the number of pages that people viewed. Like it was an overall boost to their entire website. And we've done that for a number of businesses by looking at the way that they're doing things and just focusing on how do people make decisions from a human psychology perspective.
Absolutely. Now, if you would have also noticed with the advent of artificial intelligence, some of the things that were sort of hidden, some studies that were not publicly available, but were there for those that went out and sought for them, are now being brought into light. And I think people are now catching up with some of these things that seemingly were an advantage for, other businesses. And the digital landscape is rapidly sort of changing. How are you ensuring that you're always ahead of the curve and you're always
Yeah.
ahead, or you just continuing to provide this kind of value for your clients? Because I sincerely believe that most of the stuff that was hidden is now being unearthed because of
Yeah.
artificial intelligence.
Yeah. So there's an incredible book called Humans Are Underrated. It's by a guy named Jeff Colvin. And so he was the editor and chief of Fortune magazine. And so he wrote this book, and it was about the future of the workplace and how people will be impacted by technology. And this came out before the AI rush, of 2 years ago. And he wrote that the biggest challenge with technology is that, whether it be artificial intelligence or robots or anything like that, the challenge is that it doesn't have empathy, right? It can't naturally take your position, your pain points, and what it is that you utilize to make your decision-making process, and it can't comprehend and understand that. It's not able to affect you emotively, right? It's computer writing. It's informative, but it doesn't elicit the emotions that are going to drive you to take action. Whereas the way that we're writing, the way that we're doing things is considering the consumer. It's considering their pain points. It's considering what is it that is going to drive this person to take action? What are the emotions that are going to push this person off of the fence, right? Because only 3% of people are ready to buy your product or service right now, right?
Mm.
The other 97% are a combination of sitting on the fence and will never buy your product, right? And so, in order to increase it from a 3% purchaser rate any higher, you have to create a position of pain where staying the course is more painful than making change. We're incredibly hesitant to make change as humans because we know that change is painful. There's a reason that change management is a position in corporations at this point, because we don't want to make it, right. It's there's too much risk in making change. But if you can use the right language, the right heuristics, the right human psychology, the right emotive the right emotive descriptions, you can get somebody to decide that now making change is less painful than staying the course.
Mm.
And so that's essentially how we stay ahead of AI, is by utilizing emotive language and empathy, and in a true understanding of what the pain points and problems are of the individuals that we're helping our clients sell to.
Absolutely, and that makes perfect sense because so many people are just afraid and giving up, thinking, "Oh, I can't, run at the speed of AI,"
Yeah,
and giving up on the very fact that, like you said, we still are needed to offer that hug and wipe that tear. That is
yeah,
never going to be done by AI, and I think you've just literally given people permission to
yeah.
continue working. So what's next? What's in store, for the Pixel Group and everything that you've been working on?
So many things. We always have a lot of stuff on the go. We've been working with a company to build out a a templatized like automation tool for Salesforce. Their one of their platforms. We've been working with a LinkedIn, a company that is a LinkedIn for creators out of Los Angeles. So helping creators to connect and to build relationships with brands, that sort of thing. We've been working with a travel company that's going to be replacing a lot of the back end travel programs that connect consumers to airlines and hotels. There's so many, and those are all companies that we've become owners in. So we haven't just stopped at, our design agency. The businesses that have come to us where we've been really interested in what they're doing, we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we're investing in those businesses. We want to be a part of great platforms that are changing things, that are making things better for consumers, that are utilizing technology in new ways. And so that's what we've been doing. What else would you? What else is it that we're doing this year? We're going to lots of conferences, going to be doing lots of speaking, a lot more social media, launching some courses. Yeah, it's going to be a very busy 2025.
Absolutely. And where can people catch all this action? Do you have a PO box or do you have a?
I do, because I live rurally, but no, the best place is probably LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me. Again, it's my name, Warren Miles Pickup. On LinkedIn, you'll only find me there. Our website is really good. So design.pixeltrue.com, pixelcopy.xyz, pixelpublishing.xyz. But people are more than welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to chat anytime and help anybody that I can. My number one goal, like my mission statement for myself personally, is to drive value in every interaction I have. Is to have people walking away going, God, I can't wait to talk to him again because I got so much out of this.
And I think you've just done that. You really walked
Well,
your
thank you.
your walk in this one because obviously with podcasts like this, half of the time people just come in wanting to talk about what it is that they do, but you really took us on a journey, and I think you've really opened up so many conversations that people will reach out and have a chat with you. But for those that are sort of just maybe considering to jump on their own transformative journeys, maybe it's in a career that they don't feel like there's anything left for them to keep pursuing, and they are looking at their private life, not necessarily going in the direction that they want and things like that. But also bills are coming in left, right, and center, and they're thinking, is
As
this,
they do. Yeah.
you know, they don't wait while you're in transition. It looks like they come in a lot more than.
Yeah.
Sort of key piece of advice would you like to offer to help them navigate, the paths ahead for them?
I would go back to the idea of being curious and being passionate.
Mm.
If you are curious about the people you want to serve, and you really embrace that curiosity, you will find out exactly what you need to do to be successful, and then just be passionate in serving those people. That's the key to success. That's everything I've learned in 20 plus years in business, $2 billion sold. Is if you are curious about somebody and you're passionate about solving their problems, you will be successful.
Just like Zig Ziglar said, help enough people get what they want, you too will
Yeah.
get that which you want and more. Now, Warren, I can't thank you enough for obviously sharing your incredible journey and insights with us today. I mean, your story really exemplifies the power of embracing change and also blending diverse skills to actually create something truly impactful. And yeah, those girls have a really good role model. And thank you for going
Thank you.
on this
That
journey.
that
Yeah.
means a lot. It means a huge amount.
Absolutely. Now, for those that are watching or listening, if you found value in today's conversation, please share this episode with someone who might benefit from Warren's experiences, especially all the girl dads out there, because Warren has three girls that obviously are looking up to him every single day. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show, where more inspiring stories and actionable insights are dished out on a daily. And I encourage you to join us on our next episode, where we're going to be exploring the ideas to help you lead a happier and more fulfilling life. Until next time, bye for now.